Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh.
Let's go. GameNChick Gaming.
Hello all my chickadees! GameNChick is back once again with another review. Before we get started, I would like to give a big thank you to the folks over at Ubisoft for providing me the game to make this review possible. You all rock! So now with that out of the way, onwards we go. Far Cry 6 is an open-world action first-person shooter game developed by Ubisoft Toronto Milan and published by Ubisoft. Once again changing your location, game's formula, and mechanics, Ubisoft Toronto attempts to breathe new life into the series and change it up just enough to make it feel like a fresh new experience. But do they achieve their goal and vision of this? Or does it end up being a copy and paste job, like some fans accuse them of with Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal? Only one way to find out, so blame Canada! I mean, La Resistance! Story. As dictator of Yara, Anton Castillo is intent on restoring his nation back to its former glory by any means, with his son Diego dutifully at his side. Their oppressive rule has ignited a revolution. Now as Danny, an orphan caught up in this mayhem, you must join the fight alongside the Libertad guerrillas to take down this regime once and for all and free all of Yara for good. Gameplay. With the last few Far Cry games being a mixed bag of both good and bad, with Far Cry 5's cult storyline going from realistic and interesting to supernatural and over the top, Far Cry New Dawn leaning too far heavy on the arcade-like gameplay with sponge enemies and uninteresting story, a shakeup was needed. This is when Ubisoft decided, you know what, screw it, we're changing the formula again. They sure did change up the formula, some changes bigger than others, but every single one is impactful or significant in some way, shape, or form, for better or for worse. One of the smaller additions we see brought into the mix is the reintroduction of third-person voice-acted cutscenes. That's right, third-person voice-acted cutscenes finally makes its grand return for the first time since the original Far Cry game. Why is this even significant, you ask? Well, it's significant because allowing you to see and hear the story from a third-person view gives you a better scope of not only the world around you, the setting and the characters, but it also helps immerse you in the story that Ubisoft has crafted this time around for Far Cry 6. And it's a story that I feel is up there as one of the best in the series. Yes, I know, that might seem controversial to say at the moment, given the game's political focus. But don't fret your pretty little head, because I will let you know why I feel this way shortly. But for now, I want to focus on the characters, the world, and the mechanics that will be with you through your 20-plus hour journey. The start of your journey really sets the tone for the rest of the game as you move forward and progress. This isn't your normal and lively Far Cry game that you have generally known. You are now thrusted into a fictional country on the brink of a civil war as rebel guerrillas fight back against the murderous and dictator regime of Anton Castillo and his armies. You play as Danny, an orphan and product of the destructive force of the Castillo regime, who now just wants to get out of the country and make it to America. But sadly, as her and her friend Lita make their escape on a boat with other Yaran immigrants, they're found out by not only the armies of Castillo, but the man Anton himself. His son Diego snuck on the boat and tried to escape too. He isn't like his father. He's not cold-blooded and heartless. He's just a kid, and he doesn't want this. But him being there sealed the fate for all the immigrants on the boat. He pleads with his father to let everyone go, but Anton Castillo is cold and calculated. He tells his son, sure, they can go. But as soon as he leaves, the soldiers open fire on the ship, not only sinking it, but killing many on board as well. When Danny awakes, she is on a beach with her dying friend. You're the lucky one, Lita tells her. But is she? Is she really? Girl, we're on a beach like Tom Hanks in Castaway. This isn't exactly lucky. We're not even Britney Spears level of lucky. Y'all remember that song? Pretty catchy. Back on topic. As Lita succumbs to her injury, pushing her hopes for a new Yara onto you, your adventure now fully begins. And it's one doozy of a journey at that. Once you get going in the game, you're going to notice that you don't necessarily level up anymore. Instead of the gain experience points, level up, gain new abilities and perks, you now just focus on raising your guerrilla rank by completing main story missions, taking down propaganda signs of the Castillo regime, take down military bases and checkpoints, or by doing side missions known as yarn stories. When leveling up your guerrilla rank, the stats move to focusing on your gear and weapons over your actual character itself. This is a complete departure from what we have been used to since I think Far Cry 3, and I have to say, I actually like this change. It makes the game that much more intense, because every single time you rank up and get stronger, so too does that enemy forces all over Yara. Unlike Far Cry 3 and other entries, where you got perks and abilities to level up as a reward, this time when guerrilla rank is raised, you gain access to new weapons and gear that will help you in your fight against the Castillo's army by unlocking stronger weapons that improve damage, or gear that will give you regeneration abilities. The key reason I think Ubisoft went this direction is for one reason only: balance. During previous entries into the series, it was always just crazy bad guy does this, a few of his crony henchmen come after you, and then you take down a little small group of people who range from snipers, regular people with machine guns, riflemen, and bad guys focused on melee. But in Far Cry 6 here, you now feel like you're actually taking on a legit army that has thousands of forces at its disposal, and a variety of ranks that will come swooping down on you should you cause too much havoc and become wanted. I guess you can say it's a far cry away from the previous games, am I right? Guys? Hello? Yep, let's move on. Now instead of the usual generic bad guys, you have an army with actual ranks that range from enemies being able to call airstrikes on you, army helicopters being called to follow and stalk you like a Halloween movie, divisions of the army that sets up sentry guns to take you out, which reminds me of TFC or TF2, and even deploy medics on the ground that will revive and heal any downed enemies. This is not even all of them either. Oh no, I will get more into enemy variety types as we go on, because this ties directly into the guerrilla ranking up system in this title. The world map of Yara is absolutely massive, so big in fact that it's split into 4 different distinct areas called Isla Santario, El Este, Valle de Oro, and Madrugada as the main sections of the map, with Esperanza being the main stronghold of Presidente Anton Castillo. Now these areas aren't just split up into sections just for the sake of having more areas. Not true. These areas are split into sections because they all tie into the narrative of the story being told. You see, this is a game about a country that is under control of a vicious dictatorship, and thousands per day are being executed by way of poison and other means of genocide for not being true Yarans. It's either you're a true Yaran citizen who obeys Castillo's every law and command, or you're labeled as a traitor and sent to your death. Now, other games and forms of media have attempted to tell this same story, but it's always a good versus bad scenario, one right versus one wrong. However, that's not how real life works. Just because someone may have a different view on things doesn't mean it's wrong, it just means there's a different vision from one side that is pushing towards the same goal you are. This is what sets Far Cry 6 and its world apart from other open world games. You see across this gigantic open world, each area is controlled or ran by a specific faction. These factions range from Libertad, who are a group of ragtag guerrillas attempting to take down Castillo, the Old Legends, who were once a great legendary team who fought in the revolution of the 1960s, and then the young anarchist group La Moral. Each faction has the same goal in mind: take down Castillo. And they all have a very different vision of how to get it done, and once the job is done, they all have a different vision and scenario for what the new Yara will look like. This is one core aspect of the story that you, as Danny Rojos, male or female, take on your shoulders as an orphan turned guerrilla. And it is now your job to unite all factions under the Libertad and work together to end the reign of terror once and for all. Now, it won't be that easy, but during your trying times, you have to remember: you may get stabbed in the head with a dagger or a sword. You may be burned to death or skinned alive or worse. Wait a minute, that's not Libertad's motto. Once a guerrilla, always a guerrilla. Ah, there we go. Now with the game being this massive, surely there is a lot to keep you occupied, right? It's not just some barren open world that looks pretty, correct? Yes, that's correct. This is one of those games that should normally take you around 20 hours to beat in story mode, but instead you find yourself wandering around for hours aimlessly and putting in 20 plus more on top of it. That's how much content there is in this game.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
As you progress through the story narrative, you will unlock multiple new playstyles, new weapons, new gears, new companions, and other objectives to complete that either tie into the story direction and narrative, raise your guerrilla level, or gain you access to secret intel that will help you take down Castillo and his army. When you begin taking on missions from any faction, whether it is Libertad, La Moral, or the Legends, you will always get a choice to choose the option Operation. An operation is what you will refer to as your main scenario mission, all of them marked on your map with a giant yellow star. complete enough operations with specific characters, such as helping a character named Bicho broadcast himself to all of Yara to become famous by vandalizing propaganda signs with his logo and taking over the radio waves with his own announcements, saving captured friends and freeing prisoners, destroying poison factories. Doing all of this will unlock a category named Yarn Stories. Think of Yarn Stories as your side missions you can do whenever you feel like, and every Yarn story relating to one of the characters or factions that needs help. I suggest doing these in conjunction with the main scenario, as it helps you learn key information about each character in the game, some backstory, and even provides intel of potential military targets for you to take out that you may have never known about before. Doing all of these along with your main scenario adds over a dozen more playable hours to your game. However, some of them do feel like glorified fetch quests, and not all of them knock it out of the park. But they're side missions, so what can you expect? The real meat and potatoes is in the main story. That's a lot to digest so far, right? Well, hold on to your butts, because we're just getting started in relation to the content presented here. I noticed because this world is so big that any questline could be done in any order. I thought to myself, I wonder if they structured it like Breath of the Wild, where you can just go straight to the final boss and take him down and win the game. So here I was at the time as rank 4, and the area of Esperanza where Castillo is held up in at the time is like rank 9. So I decided, screw it, let's go for it, and ventured off. When I got there during the missions in the area, it was setting up like we were going to do the assassination, and I'm thinking, holy crap, my playthrough is only gonna be like 6 hours, that's nuts! But nope, not today, scrub. Your princess is in another castle. Legit, that's literally what they tell you. Minus the princess, but insert a dictator. He's not there. He knew we would come. We got completely bamboozled, and I felt like an idiot. But going there was not a total loss, because I got to see just what exactly I'd be going up against and what type of gear I would need going forward should I want to challenge the entire army myself in the future. Enemies at higher ranks started wearing heavier armor, double-plated armor, using poison-filled spray guns, flamethrowers, and heavy artillery guns. With my current gear and weapons, there's absolutely no way I'd be able to take them down. No way and no how, and no chance in hell according to Vince McMahon. This is where your guerrilla rank will now come into play as you unlock new gear, new weapons, and new ways to play the game to give yourself a distinct advantage. Upon completing several missions, you will unlock hub areas in each faction's main stronghold and HQ, and in these strongholds is where you'll be able to take on operations, mini-games like chicken catching, buying or updating your weapons with crafting via resources you collect around the world, amigo companions, and even a really addicting feature called Guerrilla Camp Facilities. This mode kind of acts like a RTS game, in which you must put your resources into crafting new facilities inside each headquarter and gain a significant reward that scouts out all nearby areas to find you new fast travel locations, as well as give you a wingsuit to soar with, guerrilla garrison that allows you to purchase stronger weapons, a cantina that allows you to buy or trade animal meat for stat buffs, and the most important one of all, the barracks, which allows you to recruit more NPCs on your missions. Be warned though, your NPC help in this game is not very good. Like, at all. They're just extremely dumb. That's why you can say screw them. Let's just take our animal companion known as Amigo in this entry. They are so much fun. Upon buying new weapons needed and ammo that you can use on helicopter and heavy plated armor guards, you can attach various mods to your weapons that will allow you to have blast rounds to inflict blast damage, armor-piercing bullets, suppressors to make yourself more stealthy, and many other upgrades that enhance your aim, sight, health regeneration, and much more. My favorite weapon in the game is by far the Supremo, no contest. The Supremo is a giant metal jetpack-looking object that you carry on your back, and each backpack you purchase will give you a different ability, with each ability ranging from firing heat-seeking missiles towards enemy airplanes, aircraft radar, tanks, or even the civilian army themselves. Other Supremo allow you to set off a large EMP wave to take down alarm systems or army vehicles, release poisonous gas to slowly kill your enemy, and even allow a self-revive and regeneration ability that is perfect for co-op or aiding fallen allies. Each Supremo also allows you to hold throwable items like dynamite, Molotov, baseballs, and throwing knives. Which, hell, with the Supremo alone, you're a one-man army, right? Well, not true. You see, in order to get other Supremo, you need to find depleted uranium that is hidden all over the map and in spots during tough missions, and it also runs on a timer of around 5+ minutes before it can be used again. However, you may also find modifications and upgrades that allows it to refuel faster, so it's not too bad overall. Choice on loadout is completely up to you too, as you're allowed to switch to any weapon you choose and add them to your weapon wheel at any point in your adventure, even during combat. It's fast, sleek, and intuitive. Wait, hold on, you rambling freak, you tell me. You completely skipped out on amigos. Don't make me write a nasty, mean-spirited comment on here and then watch for 2 hours to see if anyone likes my post so I can have some validation to my sad life. Whoa, don't be so hard on yourself. I still love you, we all do. But I was just about to segue into amigos, so don't fret. The amigo feature in this game is probably the most fun out of all of them. Amigos are your animal friend companions who accompany you on your journey, and every single one that you befriend comes with a different trait and skill set that will aid you in your missions. There's Guapo the crocodile, who wears a cute little shirt and can be commanded to sneak up on an enemy and do a takedown move. Chorizo, the disabled wiener dog who has a ton of heart in that cute little body of his, who coincidentally has the funniest unlockable mission of the starter amigo. You literally just have to play with him and give him treats. Yup, that's it. Give him treats and he's now your best boy for life. He doesn't have raw power like other animal friends do, but he uses the skills of Good Boy and hypnotizes and distracts enemies with his cuteness, giving you time to pop off a headshot. Should you miss, however, he will start biting at their ankles with all his might. It's hilarious as heck and the cutest dang thing in the game. Even though Chorizo is the cutest amigo of all, my go-to was K9000 Doggo, a cyberkinetic future doggo who specializes in brutal takedowns. He comes with the Far Cry Blood Dragon DLC set, and he is able to take down and slow down enemies that even have heavier armor on. He makes much more sense for a strategic playthrough due to how silently he can sneak up on bad guys. Going through the game with these amigo doggos and animal friends was a treat, but also very stress-inducing if I'm honest. Why is that, you ask? It's because I take my dogs getting hurt very seriously. No joke, I run through hellfire and brimstone to save a downed amigo, sometimes even as a detriment to my health, and I end up failing the mission. One example of me taking it too personal and getting way too attached to my amigo friends is when someone ran over and killed my K9000 Doggo friend. I immediately got so mad that I pulled out my rifle and started shooting at his window. He then started driving away, so I threw a Molotov at him, but only hit the back of his truck. Oh crap, he's going to get away! I can't let that happen, I told myself, so I unleashed the wrath of my Supremo on him and fired 6 heat-seeking rockets towards him after he was like a mile away from me, and laughed as I saw him and his truck explode into 1 million pieces. No one messes with my doggo friend. No one. Now, everything in this game is not perfect. I won't lie, a lot of the things of this game aren't exactly new, such as being able to call your cars, driving boats and planes, weapon wheels, capturing enemy outposts, etc. None of these are necessarily new, it's the usual formula. But that's not what makes it not perfect, because I have a few gripes here and there, such as when you first start your game, the aim and look sensitivity is really bad. At first, I thought my TV wasn't set to game mode because of how bad it felt. I had to spend roughly 20 or so minutes in the settings adjusting it to the way that felt normal and not broken. But when I did fix it, the game felt really good and responsive to play. Other issues I had were in relation to the little bit of padding with the Have a Drink with Bicho mission, which just involved you having a drink with him and then having to find him again when he disappears. It served no real purpose overall to what was going on and felt like a waste of time. Filler and padding, the bane of my existence. There are a few other missions like this as well. Lastly, another small gripe was the constant use of the word gorilla. This word is hammered down your throat to excess and goes from badass to cringe in like an hour. You know that feeling when someone is praising you or someone else for something by saying stuff like, "Man, they're good," and you're like, "Yeah, you're right, they are." And then again they say, like, not just good, but really good. And you're like, "Yep, okay, uh-huh." And then they keep going on over and over about how great someone or something is to the point of nausea. This is how it is here. Literally, every 5 to 10 minutes, someone is shouting stuff like, "That's how a gorilla does it! You're the best gorilla! You're a true gorilla!"
They get my best guerrilla without politics and bullshit. I'm not Tara's best guerrilla, you are.
You're a guerrilla. And for a guerrilla, the shit my pants rush of an ambush. After la revolución, she won't have time for a guerrilla like you.
Just in case.
That's the spirit, guerrilla.
I get it. Danny Rojas is awesome. I totally agree. She's badass. But y'all are just being obnoxious now. Chill. Extra stuff. Even when you're done, you're not quite done. After you've pushed through 20 hours of main story, there is still a large variety of content left for you to do. This extra content involves things like taking out all military targets you have left to destroy, which will grant you even more rewards, as well as open up airspaces for you to fly around in without getting shot, treasure hunts that involve you figuring out cryptic clues that will lead you to a treasure that is more than worth the brainstorming for, finishing the rest of your yarn stories for Yelena, Juan, Yami, Lorenzo, and others, to get more backstory and extra content and resources, checkpoint races to gain more cars, online multiplayer for campaign co-op for you and your friends to play, and finally, Insurgency. Insurgency unlocks once you beat the main campaign. With Castillo now dead and Yara now free, new villains emerge to try and create their own fascist vision or continue Castillo's work. These operate on a week-by-week basis, updating on your map and giving you new military targets and leaders to take down. This ensures that your adventure won't be over for a long, long time. Overall, at the end of the day, Far Cry 6 actually surpassed my expectations for it. I went into it thinking that it was going to be a by-the-numbers Ubisoft game, which, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy that a lot. But instead I was greeted with something that not only was fun, but also profound and really addicting. The story of Yara and its people's struggle against a dictatorship is told beautifully and isn't sugar-coated for us as the audience. It shows you the manipulation, the lies, the torture and horror that dictators and fascists can bestow upon their citizens if they gain too much power. It's dark, provocative, with some glimmer of hope thrown in it from our colorful cast of main characters. Sure, this isn't exactly what I'd call a masterpiece in gaming due to some of its glitches I experienced, like floating horses and disappearing NPCs, several filler missions that felt like padding, occasional annoying dialogue during main story, mechanics feeling copy-pasted from previous entries. However, with the update to gameplay with Guerrilla Rank that makes you focus on gear and weapons, and strategy to outsmart your enemy, utilization of guerrilla facilities to build your own personal arsenal and army, characters that start off really slow, but then develop into really strong characters like Clara or Juan, engaging open world that's beautiful and fun to get lost in, and down to your wee little animal friends. Far Cry 6 is a game that I can strongly recommend to players that are looking for some good sandbox shooter fun. So with that having been said, my verdict is clear. GameNChick says bye now. Hey everyone! Thanks for watching! I really hope you enjoyed that review, and I look forward to bringing more to you in the coming future. For new people, feel free to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like or share, and for people already subscribed, make sure to hit that notification bell so that you do not miss out on any future content upload. Also, feel free to click on my other reviews linked above, because they're kinda cool too. So, give them a look! Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch all you chickadees on the next one. Quack!